Your pets aren't cute little companions. They're tiny, unlicensed demolition contractors with fur. And if you think that's an exaggeration, just wait. We haven't even reached the truly unhinged moments yet. 1. A family learned the true meaning of betrayal when their dog discovered the baby monitor camera and somehow realized it was broadcasting live to every phone in the house. Instead of behaving like a normal pet, this dog planted himself in front of the lens and began dropping toys into his water bowl one by one while maintaining disturbing eye contact with the digital audience. The result was a dripping, squeaky performance art piece titled Chaos with Hydration, streamed directly to unsuspecting humans trying to work. The dog's owner said the pet looked proud, as if he had finally figured out how to host his own show. The best part is that no one could figure out how he knew he was being watched. Maybe he didn't. Maybe the dog simply decided the household deserved a live demonstration of why carpets are temporary and chaos is forever. 2. One woman adopted a cat believing she was bringing home a quiet, dignified creature. Instead, she found herself cohabitating with a tiny anarchist who woke the entire neighborhood by figuring out how to activate the Roomba at 3:14 a.m. sharp. The cat didn't just step on the button. It dragged the robot out from under the couch, sat on it like a tyrant riding a chariot, and then rode the whirring machine directly into a stack of metal cookie tins. The resulting clatter sounded like a marching band falling down a flight of stairs. According to witnesses, the cat looked mildly annoyed, as if the noise was an unfortunate but acceptable side effect of its daily civil disobedience. Meanwhile, the Roomba continued its doomed voyage, polishing furniture legs while a furry overlord supervised. 3. A guy discovered his dog had developed a side hobby that would have made any cryptid investigator proud. Every night, the dog would patrol the backyard, find a garden gnome, and relocate it to a different corner of the property. Not chew it, not bury it. Relocate it. Carefully, precisely, ceremonially, as if reenacting a suburban Stonehenge ritual. Over several weeks, the gnomes formed a perfect circle, pointed inward like they were preparing to summon a lawn demon. The owner assumed it was random until he caught the dog in the act, tail wagging, ears perked, placing a gnome with startling gentleness before trotting back for another. The dog acted like a curator in a museum dedicated entirely to ceramic nightmares. By the time the family realized what was happening, the dog had created an art installation that would have impressed even the most confused HOA inspector. 4. A cat managed to lock an entire family out of their smart home by pressing the touchscreen panel with all the precision of a disgruntled bank hacker. The system required a passcode, and cats, as everyone knows, treat restrictions as challenges from the universe. It triggered the maximum number of failed attempts, resulting in a full security lockdown complete with flashing lights and a robotically delivered message suggesting they contact emergency support. Meanwhile, the cat sat inside on the kitchen counter, nibbling a cracker it had stolen from a charcuterie board, watching its humans beg technology for mercy. The animal wasn't stressed, guilty, or confused. It looked pleased, like it had just completed a successful corporate sabotage simulation and earned a promotion. The security company had to walk the family through resetting the system, which meant explaining with a straight voice that the culprit was a 7-pound fur gremlin who apparently despised authorized entry. 5. A man discovered his dog had taught itself a bold new skill, opening the refrigerator. Not grazing, not sniffing, not opportunistic snacking. Full-blown burglary. The dog would wait exactly long enough for the humans to leave, then nudge the door open, examine the contents like a critic, and take only one thing each time, as if avoiding suspicion. But the items made no sense. A lemon, an unwrapped stick of butter, a raw potato, 3 jalapenos. The dog wasn't eating them. It was hoarding them under the guest bed like a culinary dragon assembling the world's worst charcuterie board. When confronted, the dog simply wagged its tail, sitting atop its treasure pile like a smug dragon guarding gold it didn't understand. Apparently, the concept of taste is optional when your mission is pure chaos-driven acquisition. 6. A couple installed a brand new screen door to let fresh air in. Their cat immediately interpreted this as an invitation to test the limits of structural engineering. The cat didn't run into the door accidentally, it sprinted at it at full speed, launched itself horizontally like a loofah fired from a cannon, and clung to the mesh using every available claw. The screen bowed inward like a trampoline trying to hold a raccoon with ambition. Observers reported the cat then slowly slid down the mesh with the defeated dignity of someone who attempted a grand stunt and realized halfway through that physics is cruel. The door, now permanently warped, became a memorial to the moment the cat decided to reenact a Wile E. Coyote sketch without a permit or safety equipment. 7. One dog refused to allow its owners to finish watching movies. Every time a dramatic moment approached, kiss, fight scene, twist reveal, the dog would stand directly in front of the TV, blocking the screen like a furry censor with a moral objection. It wasn't random. The timing was suspiciously precise, as if the dog waited for the exact second human emotional investment peaked. The dog's owners tested it by lowering the volume. Didn't matter. Turning off the lights? No change. Offering treats? The dog would take the treat, swallow it, then immediately resume its station between the viewers and the screen like a self-appointed director enforcing imaginative minimalism. This was not a dog seeking attention. This was a dog enforcing a rule. If you feel joy, suspense, or narrative satisfaction, that is unacceptable and must be immediately disrupted. 8. A woman complained that her cat had formed a union, unofficially of course, by refusing to let her work from home in peace. The animal stationed itself directly on her keyboard, but not in the classic sit for warmth and dominance style. This cat typed random strings of letters, commands. At one point, it managed to open 26 browser tabs at once, all in different languages, including a site that definitely wasn't safe for work. The cat wasn't searching for anything. It was pushing buttons simply to observe which ones caused the most chaos. The breaking point came when it successfully emailed a blank message to her boss with the subject line. The cat strutted away afterward as though taking credit for advancing her career, or possibly sabotaging it entirely. Hard to say with cats. 9. A guy discovered his dog's new hobby when he found a pile of objects buried in the garden. Objects the dog had stolen, not from the house, but from the neighbors. Shoes, gloves, a plush toy shaped like a shrimp, and, for reasons unknown, a decorative solar lantern shaped like a frog. The dog wasn't ashamed. It was thrilled, bouncing happily as if presenting archaeological finds from a dig site it had been excavating for months. The neighbors had been confused about their disappearing items, chalking it up to wind or mysterious yard gremlins. They were only half wrong. They did have a gremlin, just a furry one who believed it was building a museum of suburban artifacts. The dog's proud grin suggested this was only the opening exhibit. 10. One cat decided the family printer was its mortal enemy. Every time paper fed through, the cat would stalk the machine, flatten itself to the ground like a spy infiltrating a laser grid, then launch a full assault. Claws out, teeth bared, tail puffed like a pipe cleaner facing a personal crisis. The printer, being a machine, didn't care. It simply continued its job while the cat escalated from tactical strikes to full-on domination attempts, including sitting on top of the printer and yelling at it like a tiny, furry drill sergeant. The cat's human eventually had to print things at work because every attempt at home sparked a reenactment of a kaiju attack on a budget office building. The cat wasn't trying to stop the printing. It was trying to defeat the printer and claim the office as conquered territory. 11. A dog learned how to fake injuries for sympathy. Not real limping, strategic limping. The dog would limp dramatically whenever its humans came into the room, complete with sad eyes and slow-motion pacing. But the moment the humans left, the limp vanished like a bad special effect from a 90s soap opera. The breakthrough came when the dog forgot which leg it was pretending was hurt. 1 minute, it limped on the left. 3 minutes later, the limp migrated to the right. The humans caught on, and the dog, realizing its award-winning performance had been compromised, responded by adding whimpers for flair. Not because anything hurt, because it knew drama is a weapon, and it planned to use it. Some pets beg for attention. This one created a full psychological thriller with questionable continuity. 12. A cat convinced an entire family their smoke alarm was malfunctioning. The chirping sound kept happening at irregular intervals, usually late at night. Batteries were changed, alarms replaced, electricians summoned. Weeks passed. The chirping persisted. Only after installing brand new alarms did the truth reveal itself. The cat had learned to mimic the smoke alarm beep with perfect pitch. It performed once every 10 minutes, just long enough for maximum irritation and minimum suspicion. When caught, the cat simply blinked slowly, as if offended anyone would question its artistic expression. This wasn't mischief. This was psychological warfare executed by a creature with no moral compass and perfect comedic timing. 13. A dog discovered the doorbell and immediately weaponized it. Anytime the dog wanted attention, food, or entertainment, it would press the indoor doorbell button with its paw, triggering a chorus of barking, human confusion, and frantic rushing to the front door. Once the owners realized the trick, the dog escalated, ringing it during dinner, during important calls, during showers, and once during a birthday cake candle-lighting ceremony that nearly resulted in the frosting being flung across the room. The dog didn't ring the bell randomly, it rang it with intent, like a tiny furry general deploying a distraction tactic learned on a battlefield made of squeaky toys and poor impulse control. 14. One cat lived in a household with a decorative bowl of smooth river stones, an interior design choice that lasted exactly 3 days before the cat adopted the stones as its personal currency. It would pick up a rock in its mouth and drop it at the feet of family members one at a time, usually in the dead of night, like a mafia lieutenant delivering a warning. When ignored, the cat escalated to carrying the stones upstairs, dropping them on sleeping humans' chests with the gravity of someone placing a final demand. The cat didn't want food or affection. It wanted everyone to acknowledge that it now owned the rock economy and participation was mandatory. 15. A woman installed a video doorbell and discovered her dog had been participating in a peculiar side hobby, greeting delivery drivers by pressing its face against the glass with the force of a troll in a fairy tale demanding payment. The footage captured an array of flattened expressions, nose smears, fogged glass, and confused eyeball reflections. Delivery people routinely stepped backward, unsure whether the dog was happy, angry, or attempting to audition for a horror movie with a budget of 0, but enthusiasm of 10 out of 10. Meanwhile, the dog seemed thrilled by the attention, repeating the behavior with increasing artistic commitment each day. Humans buy doorbells for security. This dog treated it like a performance stage. 16. One cat developed a hobby of pushing full cups of water off tables, not for hydration, not for curiosity, but for what appeared to be research. The cat would stare intensely at a glass, gently tap it, analyze the wobble, adjust its angle, and finally nudge it off with the smug precision of a scientist proving gravity still works. The cat never drank the water. It would simply watch it spill, then walk away proudly as if submitting its findings to the Journal of Feline Physics. The humans tried coasters, lids, heavy cups, and even sticky mats. Nothing stopped the cat because nothing was the goal. This was a creature dedicated to experimenting on its environment, one ruined carpet at a time. 17. A guy brought home a laser pointer for harmless fun. His cat interpreted it as a lifelong nemesis. The animal would chase the dot with wild fury, sure, but the real entertainment came afterward, when it would patrol the house for hours demanding the dot return to face justice. It searched under furniture. It searched behind curtains. It even pawed aggressively at blank walls, convinced the dot was hiding like a fugitive. At one point, the cat sat in the hallway staring unblinkingly at nothing, as if willing the dot to manifest through sheer rage. This wasn't playtime. This was an ongoing crime investigation being conducted by a detective with 0 training, 0 patience, and a deep personal grudge against a beam of light that technically never existed. 18. A woman learned the hard way that her dog had fully embraced its destiny as a self-appointed neighborhood mail inspector when she woke up to find every piece of incoming mail, not just hers, but half the block's, piled neatly in the living room like evidence awaiting trial. The dog had discovered that the mail carrier left letters sticking slightly out of the slot and apparently decided this was an invitation to liberate them. It didn't chew them, shred them, or hide them. It sorted them by size, sat beside the stack like a bureaucrat from a dystopian office comedy, and barked whenever anyone tried to reclaim their property. The dog's expression suggested that the U.S. Postal Service had been operating incorrectly for decades, and it, a creature who once ate a sock, was here to restore order. When the neighbors came over asking if anyone had seen their missing bills and coupons, the dog puffed its chest as if expecting applause for its public service announcement. All mail now goes through the Department of Dog Affairs. 19. A guy found out his cat had developed a deeply unhelpful obsession with the freezer after several mornings of discovering the freezer door slightly open and the contents partially thawed, as if a ghost with terrible time management was trying to cook dinner. After setting up a camera, the truth emerged. The cat would climb onto the counter, hook a paw into the freezer handle like a tiny burglar, and yank it open. Not to steal anything, but to sit in front of the cold air like it was a personal luxury spa. The cat would then stare into the frosty abyss, letting its fur billow in the Arctic breeze, occasionally reaching a paw inside to tap a bag of peas like it was checking inventory. The resulting half-defrosted mess suggested the cat believed it was the appliance's shift supervisor. The humans installed a child lock, which the cat responded to by sitting beside the freezer and yelling at it like an elderly patron demanding customer service. 20. A family discovered their dog was secretly hosting a nightly toy conference when they walked into the living room at 2 a.m. to find every single plush toy arranged in a precise circle around the coffee table. Not scattered, not chewed, arranged, facing inward like attendees waiting for a PowerPoint presentation. The dog sat in the center, panting with the serene confidence of a motivational speaker preparing to inspire 12 mangled stuffed animals and a rubber chicken missing its face. The family tried putting the toys back in the basket. The dog waited until everyone went to bed, then reconstructed the meeting with even stricter symmetry, as if delivering an artistic critique of human interference. By night 4, the toys had been sorted by size, texture, and apparent seniority. The dog didn't want attention, it wanted governance, and based on the orderly seating chart, the toys were probably more organized than half the companies in the country. 21. A woman realized her cat had weaponized food preferences when it began dragging its empty bowl across the floor like a prisoner scraping a tin cup along cell bars. The scraping started subtly, evolving into a relentless metallic screech that echoed through the house with the emotional warmth of a malfunctioning robot pleading for oil. The cat didn't do this when actually hungry. It did it whenever it felt its bowl was insufficiently impressive. The humans would fill it, offer gourmet kibble, even add chicken broth. The cat would sniff, walk away, and return an hour later to begin scraping again, dragging the bowl across hardwood with all the drama of a medieval torture device. Eventually, the cat upgraded to pushing the bowl into the wall, creating a rhythmic thud that made the entire household question their life choices. The cat wasn't starving. It was demanding interior design changes. 22. A dog with an alarming amount of confidence discovered how to turn on the backyard hose and immediately concluded that water pressure was the greatest invention in history. Instead of drinking from it like a normal creature, the dog blasted itself directly in the face, whipping its head back and forth like a rock star in a sprinkler-themed music video. Then it started spraying the patio furniture, the grill, the sliding door, and eventually the owner's legs. Each hit accompanied by a tail wag that clearly translated to, "Behold my power." When the dog finally dropped the hose, it strutted around soaked and victorious, while the humans spent the next hour cleaning mud, puddles, and what could only be described as canine graffiti splattered across the deck. Predictably, the dog attempted to do it again the next day, because once an animal learns it can control the elements, there's no going back to being just a pet. 23. One cat took it upon itself to reinvent gravity inside the home by adopting a new rule. Everything must be knocked off a surface at least once per day. The cat would wander room to room with the judgmental efficiency of a strict inspector, examining shelves, counters, and desks like they personally offended its minimalist aesthetic. Pens? Off. Keys? Off. A framed photo of Grandma? Off with ceremonious flair. The cat's pièce de résistance was nudging a full bowl of cereal off the dining table while maintaining steady eye contact with the human who had poured it 30 seconds earlier. The cat didn't run away after committing these crimes. It sat proudly beside the chaos like an artist analyzing its own sculpture. Attempts to block surfaces with taller objects only inspired the cat to refine its technique, sometimes climbing onto shoulders or leaping midair to ensure no surface escaped its campaign for controlled demolition. 24. A couple learned that their dog had been living a double life when they discovered an entire stash of stolen socks hidden behind the couch. 37 mismatched socks arranged like trophies in a serial collector's lair. The dog didn't chew them. It didn't wear them. It simply hoarded them like precious, deeply personal collectibles, guarding them whenever anyone approached. The collection included socks from strangers who had visited months earlier, a sock from a neighbor's kid, and even a sock that belonged to someone the owners didn't recognize at all, raising several troubling questions. When the owners finally gathered the socks into a basket, the dog staged a dramatic protest, sitting on top of the pile with the determination of a dragon guarding treasure. The humans gave up and designated one corner of the house as the dog's official sock museum, because sometimes the easiest solution is to accept that your dog is running a black market hosiery operation. 25. A man discovered his cat had become a fully functioning alarm system, an alarm system with terrible priorities. The The cat would wake the entire household at dawn not because of hunger or danger, but because the neighbors 3 houses away closed their car door. The sound barely registered to human ears, but to the cat it was apparently the opening bell for a mandatory household. Meeting. The cat would sprint across the bed, yowl at maximum volume, and stomp on the human's chest with the authority of someone delivering urgent news. Attempts to ignore the alert only resulted in escalation, patting faces, knocking small objects over, and once, dragging a shoe into the bed as a wake up or else reminder. When a real noise occurred, a storm, a branch falling, an actual burglar alarm, the cat slept peacefully through all of it. Its security philosophy seemed simple. Minor events are catastrophic. Real emergencies are optional. 26. A woman discovered her dog had developed an obsession with hiding under blankets, transforming itself into a mysterious moving lump that roamed the couch with the silent menace of a ghost wearing a sofa slipcover. The dog didn't just hide. It stayed under the blanket while walking, navigating the living room purely by instinct and occasional collisions. Lamps were knocked over, stools toppled, and the coffee table suffered multiple blunt force encounters. The dog would occasionally poke its nose out for a breath of air, then dive back into the fabric cave like a spelunker with no sense of spatial awareness. When family members tried to lift the blanket, the dog resisted, curling itself deeper like it was protecting state secrets. Eventually, they had to perform regular blanket sweeps to ensure the moving mound was indeed their dog and not a rogue laundry pile developing sentience. 27. One cat demonstrated a level of petty commitment rarely seen in the animal kingdom when it discovered the humans had forgotten to give it its usual afternoon treat. Instead of meowing or protesting normally, the cat calmly walked into the bathroom, pushed its paw against the toilet roll, and unspooled the entire thing down the hallway like a runway for a feline fashion show. Then it sat majestically at the end of the paper trail, waiting to be discovered like a petty little gremlin revealing its work. When confronted, the cat didn't act guilty, it acted insulted, as if the humans had forced it into this creative protest by their incompetence. After receiving its treat, the cat strutted away, leaving the humans ankle-deep in shredded evidence and fully aware that this was not a one-time incident. It was a warning. 28. A dog attended obedience school and came home with exactly one mastered skill: shaking hands. Unfortunately, it decided to use this power exclusively to disrupt serious situations. Deep conversations, heated arguments, crying relatives didn't matter. The dog would walk up, sit politely, and offer its paw with the solemnity of a diplomat negotiating peace. Someone could be mid-sentence, confessing the worst day of their life, and the dog would slide into the frame like, "I see you're distressed. Please accept my paw as emotional compensation." The gesture was impossible to ignore, both adorable and wildly inappropriate. The humans eventually realized the dog wasn't offering comfort. It was interrupting, because every important moment the humans shared was a moment not focused on the dog. It was less therapy and more attention economics. 29. A cat discovered the door stopper, the springy metal kind that goes bowing, and immediately became obsessed with weaponizing it. At first, it batted it gently, producing a soft twang. Then it escalated into full-force paw smacks that produced a sound echoing through the house like the opening note of a cartoon crime scene. The cat timed these bowings with unsettling precision, often choosing 4:17 a.m., the hour when humans are barely conscious and most vulnerable to psychological warfare. Attempts to block the stopper with furniture only emboldened the cat, who moved on to multiple stoppers around the house with the creativity of a percussionist testing instruments. Soon, the entire home became an experimental soundscape of random metallic twangs, all triggered by a furry conductor who believed acoustic chaos was the highest form of art. 30. A dog with an unusual sense of personal boundaries developed a habit of sneaking up behind people who were quietly minding their own business and resting its chin silently on their shoulder. Not in a cute hug way, more like a foreman inspecting work productivity. The dog would just stand there, unmoving, breathing heavily, occasionally licking the person's ear like it was testing for weaknesses. People working from home learned to expect the sudden weight of a damp, suspiciously warm chin appearing out of nowhere, accompanied by a heavy sigh that suggested disappointment in their entire existence. The dog refused to move until acknowledged with both petting and verbal admiration, as if it required a formal apology for not being the center of attention. 31. A household discovered their cat had hacked their voice-activated smart speaker, not intentionally, but effectively. The cat's random meows were just close enough to the speaker's wake word that it routinely triggered the system. At first, it played random playlists, including one night of smooth jazz that lasted 6 hours. Then the cat managed to order cat treats online, twice. The most alarming moment came when it changed the thermostat to 85 degrees in the middle of summer, turning the living room into a desert-themed escape room. Every time the humans tried to change the settings back, the cat would stroll by, meow again, and the device would obediently revert. The humans eventually realized their expensive smart home setup had effectively become a cat-operated chaos dispenser. 32. A man learned that his dog had taken up interior decorating when it began dragging throw pillows off the couch and arranging them into a bizarre geometric pattern in the middle of the floor. Not a nest, not a bed. An intentional layout. The pillows were placed with pinpoint symmetry, forming shapes that suspiciously resembled corporate logos or ancient runes. The dog would sit in the center of the design like an artist awaiting critique, panting proudly beside its avant-garde masterpiece. When the humans moved the pillows back, the dog rebuilt the arrangement with even more precision, as though defending its portfolio from unsophisticated critics. Eventually, guests began asking if the dog had a creative vision, which is how a medium-sized golden retriever accidentally became the household's most dedicated interior designer. 33. A woman found out her cat had started moonlighting as an amateur locksmith when she discovered the animal could open the sliding bathroom door with a single well-placed paw hook. The cat would barge in at the worst possible times, mid-shower, mid-toothbrushing, mid-existential crisis, and sit there, staring with the dead-eyed confidence of someone who absolutely refused to respect boundaries. Closing the door harder only encouraged the cat, who treated each attempt as a challenge, testing the door with small rattles until it found the exact resistance point. At one horrifying moment, the cat opened the door while a guest was inside, prompting an immediate bathroom panic and a cat who looked extremely satisfied with its work. 34. A dog developed a suspiciously sophisticated understanding of timing when it began barking precisely 1 second after a human took their first bite of food. It didn't matter if it was breakfast, lunch, dinner, or a secret midnight snack eaten in total darkness. The dog somehow sensed the exact moment food hit a human's fork. It would sit quietly for hours, but the instant the human tried to enjoy a meal in peace, the dog activated its internal siren, pacing, whining, or staring unblinkingly like a disappointed personal trainer judging poor lifestyle choices. The humans tried feeding the dog first, distracting it with toys, even pretending to eat fake bites. The dog saw through everything, proving that while humans have schedules, dogs have instincts. And this dog's instinct was to interrupt meals like it was a contractual obligation. 35. A couple realized their dog had achieved a new evolutionary tier when it figured out that humans respond to urgency, so it began staging fake emergencies every time it wanted something. The dog would sprint into a room, barking wildly, staring at a random wall like it was witnessing a supernatural event. The humans would rush over, terrified something had collapsed or caught fire, only to find nothing except a dog slowly glancing back at its empty food bowl like, "Since you're up, might as well refill that." When the humans stopped falling for it, the dog escalated by dragging a shoe into the hallway and positioning it dramatically as if a crime had occurred. It even attempted a fake limp, badly, switching legs mid-performance like a soap opera character trying to remember which side the bullet wound is on. By the time the dog faked a coughing fit to get someone to open the back door, it was clear the creature had mastered the ancient art of manipulation and was now using it to secure snacks, yard time, and emotional dominance. 36. A woman learned her cat could open the fridge, not for food theft, no, that would be too ordinary, but to rearrange the produce drawer according to whatever chaotic feng shui system cats apparently subscribe to. Cucumbers in the top shelf, lettuce tossed onto the floor, blueberries relocated to the freezer, and a single grape smashed under a chair like it had been part of a rebellion gone wrong. The cat didn't eat any of it. It simply curated the refrigerator like it was running a failing boutique grocery store with deeply questionable inventory logic. The worst moment came when the cat dragged an entire block of cheese into the hallway, not to eat but to sit on like a podium, staring down humans who dared to approach. The fridge had to be fitted with a child lock, something the cat responded to by sulking in front of it like a teenager denied Wi-Fi. 37. A man living alone began to suspect he was being haunted when objects around his kitchen kept relocating at night. only to discover his dog had mastered opening the cabinets, not to raid food, but to craft what could only be described as nighttime performance art. The dog pulled out pots, pans, Tupperware lids, and one inexplicably misplaced shoe, then arranged them in the middle of the kitchen floor like an abstract sculpture titled Chaos But Also Circles. The dog didn't bark or whine about it. It simply sat nearby, proud and patient, as if waiting for a museum critic to review its installation. When the human stepped into the kitchen half awake at 3 a.m., the clang of stepping on a saucepan lid triggered a bark of such excitement that the dog looked genuinely thrilled the exhibit had finally received audience interaction. Apparently, the dog had been waiting days for that exact moment of human participation. 38. A cat took passive aggression to Olympic heights when the humans moved its favorite chair 6 inches to the left to vacuum. Instead of simply adjusting, the cat enacted a multi-stage retaliation campaign. First, it sat exactly where the chair used to be, staring directly at the humans with the quiet fury of a disappointed parent. Then it began dragging small objects, pens, socks, a USB stick, onto the empty spot, as if constructing a shrine to what was lost. Finally, it climbed onto the shifted chair, tipped it over intentionally with a single push, and walked away without looking back, like a villain in a heist movie detonating charges behind them. The humans moved the chair back, and the cat immediately curled into it and fell asleep, purring smugly like it had negotiated world peace through strategic furniture sabotage. 39. A dog discovered it could trigger the automatic vacuum simply by sitting on it, and instead of being afraid, it decided this was its new personal chariot. Every afternoon, it would plop on top of the robotic vacuum and ride around the living room like a tiny monarch surveying its kingdom. The vacuum struggled under the weight, bumping into walls with the enthusiasm of a drunk Roomba trying to fulfill its destiny, while the dog remained perfectly balanced, tongue out, thrilled with its newfound transportation system. The vacuum docked for charging, and the dog would immediately sit in front of it like a commuter waiting for the next train. At one point, it even attempted to ride the vacuum into the bathroom, where the vacuum promptly got stuck, but the dog barked like it was scolding public transit delays. 40. A cat managed to accidentally order a pizza, a full, large pepperoni pizza. The humans found out when the delivery driver knocked and said, "Your cat called in this order." Turns out, the cat walked across a phone left open on a delivery app and somehow tapped all the correct buttons with the accuracy of someone who had been ordering takeout for years. The cat didn't eat the pizza, of course. It just sniffed it and walked away with a smug expression like, "Your move." The humans ended up paying for the pizza while the cat sat nearby on the counter like a mafia boss checking that tribute had been properly delivered. The real kicker is that the next day, the cat returned to the same spot on the phone as if preparing to order again, fully confident that the house now ran on feline-driven impulse purchases. 41. A dog discovered how to open the pantry door and began operating a food redistribution program based entirely on vibes and zero nutritional understanding. It didn't eat the food. Instead, it carefully removed items from the shelves and placed them throughout the house in locations that made no rational sense. Spaghetti noodles in the bathtub, canned beans under the bed, a loaf of bread in a shoe, and a jar of peanut butter sitting upright in the laundry basket like a proud sentient being awaiting instruction. When the humans tried to secure the pantry, the dog stared at them like they were sabotaging its supply chain management career. Eventually, they found the dog had created a stash of food behind the couch, perfectly organized by size as if preparing for an apocalypse only it could foresee. 42. A cat discovered the doorbell camera and decided it was now the face of the household. Several times a day, it would climb onto the porch, stare directly into the lens, and meow with the gravitas of a politician delivering a press statement. The recordings included extreme close-ups of whiskers, nose smears that looked like an avant-garde painting, and one memorable moment where the cat sat so close the only visible thing was fur. Delivery workers began greeting it by name because it was always there, guarding the camera like a furry sentinel hungry for attention and possibly political office. When the humans left the house, they'd get motion alerts every 5 minutes because the cat kept returning to the lens, speaking its truth to the digital void. 43. A dog learned how to open the sliding glass door and use this power exclusively to prank its humans. When the door was closed, the dog would scratch and whine like it desperately needed to go out. The humans would open the door, and the dog would simply stare at them, then walk away with the proud strut of a comedian whose joke just landed. The dog repeated this several times a day, sometimes bringing a toy, dropping it outside, and staring until a human retrieved it, only to sprint away at the last second like a slapstick performer on a sugar high. Eventually, the humans tried ignoring the whining, but the dog escalated by bringing the cat outside and then barking at the closed door until someone came to fix the situation. The dog wasn't trying to escape. It was running a psychological experiment. 44. A cat learned that knocking on the window summoned humans, not tapping, knocking, with force. The cat would stand outside on the patio and thump its paw against the glass like a landlord collecting rent. The first time, the humans panicked, thinking someone was breaking in. The second time, they thought the wind had flung a branch. By the third, they realized their cat was simply attempting social interaction through home invasion techniques. The cat used its knocking ability sparingly but strategically, usually during dinner or Zoom meetings, ensuring maximum disruption. When the humans opened the door, the cat would saunter in like an annoyed neighbor saying, "Finally." 45. A dog began collecting rocks. Not cute little pebbles, but fist-sized stones it dragged home from the yard, one by one, and arranged into a pile big enough to become a minor geological landmark. The dog didn't chew them or bury them. It just hoarded them proudly, building its own personal Stonehenge behind the shed. Each rock was deposited with ceremony, followed by the dog sitting beside the pile as if contemplating the mysteries of the universe. The humans tried returning the rocks to the yard, but the dog would drag them back within hours, offended that anyone dared tamper with its sacred monument. By week 3, the pile was so large that even the neighbors started asking if the family was mining for minerals. No, just a dog with dreams of prehistoric architecture. 46. A cat became obsessed with sneaking into the neighbor's house, not for food or attention, but to steal their decorative hair ties. Bright pink, neon green, sparkly, floral. If it stretched, the cat wanted it. The owners discovered the stash when they found nearly 70 hair ties hidden under the cat's bed, a collection so large it looked like the prize counter at a 90s arcade. The neighbor had been confused for months, assuming their hair ties were being swallowed by the washing machine like every humans are. Nope, just a four-legged burglar with a flair for fashion theft. When confronted, the cat sat atop the pile of stolen accessories like a dragon nesting on stolen treasure, unbothered and unwilling to negotiate. 47. A dog took territorial protection to dramatic new heights by barking aggressively at its own reflection every single day for 6 months. The mirror became a battleground where the dog believed it faced a shape-shifting rival who mimicked every movement with mocking precision. The humans tried removing the mirror, but the dog simply found reflective surfaces elsewhere: microwave doors, oven doors, windows, the shiny surface of the dishwasher. The dog would lunge, freeze, bark, and then look back at the humans like, "This guy again?" The fact that the reflection never changed strategy only fueled the dog's conviction that it was up against a genius-level adversary. 48. A cat learned how to flush the toilet, which would have been impressive if it didn't immediately begin using this power purely to create chaos. The cat flushed at random intervals: midnight, dawn, mid-conversation, during thunderstorms, during naps. The humans would hear the sudden rush of water echo through the house like a ghost performing household chores. At one point, the cat flushed 6 times in 5 minutes, strutting away afterward with the energy of someone who had just sabotaged a competitor's plumbing. The humans had to close the bathroom door, which only made the cat scratch at it loudly like a furious landlord demanding access to its personal property. 49. A dog discovered how to honk the car horn. This became a problem when it climbed into the driver's seat one morning and laid its paw directly on the center of the steering wheel, unleashing a continuous honk that echoed through the neighborhood like a ship announcing its arrival. The humans ran outside to find the dog sitting confidently behind the wheel, completely unbothered by the noise pollution it was generating. The honking continued whenever the dog was left alone in the car, even for seconds, resulting in multiple neighbors believing the family had adopted a very aggressive chauffeur. At one point, the dog set off a 10-minute honking fit because it saw a squirrel. 50. A cat outsmarted an automated feeder by positioning its paw inside the chute and shaking it with the mechanical finesse of an engineer committing a highly specific crime. The feeder, confused by the sudden influx of movement, dispensed food repeatedly until the bowl overflowed like a feline slot machine jackpot. The cat would then casually stroll away, leaving a mountain of kibble while its humans tried to figure out why the device kept dumping food like it had been possessed by the spirit of generous hospitality. When they watched the footage and caught the cat red-handed, the animal stared at them with the cold neutrality of a professional thief, evaluating whether to switch careers. 51. A dog achieved legendary status when it figured out how to order itself a toy, on purpose. Unlike the pizza cat earlier, this dog watched its human use a voice assistant, connected the A dots, and began barking specific syllables whenever the device lit up. After days of incoherent attempts, it finally triggered a purchase, a squeaky plush shaped like a squirrel, delivered 2 days later to the porch. When the humans opened the package, the dog snatched the toy, squeaked it triumphantly, and strutted away like it had just completed the first canine-approved cybercrime. This wasn't an accident. This was a dog staring directly at humanity and declaring with one decisive squeak that the age of human technological dominance is officially over. And that, somehow, is the highlight reel of creatures who prove domestic life is basically supervised chaos with fur. Drop your own dumbest pet stories below, vote on which moment deserved jail time, and if you want more madness, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and buckle up for the next round.